Let's move on. Another important type of management is classroom management. In an educational institution, resources are of utmost importance. These include physical resources and human resources, which are put to optimum use so as to achieve the objectives laid down by an institution. One such important resource are definitely a teacher who carry out a variety of functions like teaching, managing student, her own work, curricular, co-curricular activities in the school. But here it is here that the concept of classroom management comes into existence. Yes, classroom management is a very important type of management. When we think of the word classroom management, what generally comes to our mind? A class or a room in a school building where students are sitting in. A classroom is one in which there are different students having individual differences with regard to ability, understanding, capacities, skills and goals. Then what is the classroom management? Yes, here comes the definition of classroom management. In simple words, classroom management is defined as the process of managing students and their various learning situations. So classroom management is not restricted to the class in which students are sitting in. Classroom management is the process of managing students and their various learning situations. The process which leads to shaping of learning environment in classroom is termed as classroom management. A series of interaction which are as follows, or classroom is also defined as a series of interactions which are as follows. In the diagram you can see the interaction between teacher and students in the group. So here interaction between teacher with students in the group also comes in the classroom management, and interactions between individual student to other students in the group or any one student. So classroom management is nothing but it is also a series of interaction which is happening or occurring in the classroom. Here is also one important definition of classroom management is also defined as the process or as the organization of co-curricular activities taking into account participation of students depending upon their mental and emotional abilities. Actually, what happens in the school or in the classroom, we should give work to the students as per their mental and emotional abilities. Each and every student is different. Each child is special. So as per their interests, their abilities, work should be given by the teacher, so he can manage his class effectively. That is what this definition is pointing out. Let's see techniques of effective classroom management. In a classroom, the teacher is a component who has to carefully plan out activities to lead the effective learning. Skills such as effective classroom management are central to make teaching environment fruitful and effective. Amongst teachers, there is a wrong notion about classroom management. Being a good class control, quiet students, teachers teaching and students listening passively. This environment isn't mean a classroom, effective classroom. But this cannot be termed as an effective classroom management. Therefore, teachers need to have certain techniques to carry out effective classroom management, which are as follows: assigning objectives, plan and provide proper learning experiences, use of teaching aids, finalize other activities, interhuman relations, maintaining class discipline, mastery in subject area, knowledge about students and proper class control. Let's see one by one. Assign objective means nothing. In order to carry out any activity or an objective has to be decided and students have to told about it. For example, a teacher can plan his daily experiences after deciding the objective of a particular period. Like we are making lesson plans at the beginning, and we decide the objectives of the class, what students will learn after teaching that content. So learning objective, it can be knowledge, understanding, application of that content. So assigning objective is very important to know the importance of that content. So teacher can plan his teaching experiences after deciding the plan. If he is teaching fractions of class to third standard students, then he will explain the concept of fractions, solve a new sums on the board, and then ask students to solve few more examples. So this is what the basic or the simple lesson plan. A simple lesson plan has to be done by the teacher before teaching. So here is the teaching activity. Teaching objective is to enable students understand the lesson properly. Then comes plan and provide proper learning experiences. A teacher needs to plan whether she is going to provide direct or indirect learning experiences to students. Any type of learning experience has to be planned well in advance. A teacher also has to decide a amount of time and money has to be spent on the teaching aids or learning material which he is going to use in the lesson. For example, different teaching methods can be used for teaching geography, like project method, journey method, singing method. There are many methods which are suitable for teaching different subjects. So which method is exactly using for the for teaching subjects? Before that, he has to plan proper learning experiences to the students. Then use of teaching aids. Yes, a teacher also has to plan what teaching aids can be used to make teaching learning process more effective. Here he has to think which teaching aid he has to use for teaching specific content. Here teachers can use audio aids, visual aids, audio visual aids combinedly. To teach communicative English, teacher can use word games, quizzes, complete the sentences, flashcards, audio aids, and many more. So here use of teaching aids also is one important technique of effective classroom management. Then yes, finalizing other activities. Here teacher needs to plan the time, venue, place, timetable or for conducting various activities. If an activity has to be conducted in a group, then everything needs to be planned properly. Suppose while teaching history or history subject for teaching specific content, a field trip can be organized to the Shivneri fort. Then teacher needs to plan for date, money, bus booking, group leader for teaching birth of Shivaji Maharaj or Maharashtra before Shivaji Maharaj. So this way he can finalize other activity to give a better learning experience to the students. So that is also an effective classroom management technique. Then interhuman relations. A classroom does not exist in a vacuum. Teachers and students are the main participants in classroom activities. Teaching learning process is not a one-way process. It is two-way process where teacher and students are together, and human relations are closely related to interactions and communication. Teaching cannot happen without communication and interaction, because if there is absence of communication and interactions, yes, of course students will be passive learners or passive listeners only. Teacher cannot understand what he is exactly teaching to the students. So human relations are very important in effective classroom management. Students and teachers should have a good rapport with each other. A teacher should know the characteristics, likes and dislikes of the student so that he can manage his class effectively. And teacher and students has to participate actively in the teaching learning process. Then yes, of course it's very important maintaining class discipline. Maintaining proper class discipline is an important technique for achieving classroom management. Generally, positive and negative reinforcement can be used for maintaining discipline. Yes, here for maintaining discipline in the class, teacher has to use different strategies. he can use the words of appreciation, he can use positive feedback, negative feedback in a proper manner can be used by the teacher to maintain a classroom discipline. He can use of reward, punishment and award to maintain discipline in the student. Then yes, mastery in subject area, which is very important technique of classroom management. Teachers' intellectual ability is the main thing or main aspect for better classroom management. Teacher who have proficiency, efficiency and command over his subject don't face too many problems in the classroom, because everything shows from his intellectual. It should be reached to the student. Teacher should acquire updated knowledge about his subject. As Rabindranath Tagore said, a teacher is a lamp who gives the light of knowledge to all. So here, mastery on subject matter is very important technique of effective classroom management, and for that teacher has to prepare his lesson effectively and properly. Then knowledge about students. A teacher should have proper knowledge about the skills, aptitudes, interest and background of the students, which make its teaching more meaningful and effective. Yes, teacher should have knowledge about his students who are sitting in his classroom, from which background they are coming from. So that knowledge teacher should have, so he can tackle the problems of the students, he can develop the rapport with the students, and he can manage that classroom effectively. In proper class control. Yes, teacher should have proper class control in the classroom, which is essential for ensuring effectiveness of teaching learning process. Here teacher should give step-by-step directions to the students. He has to engage students in the group work, cooperative learning strategies, group discussions, debate, role playing. There are many activities or the strategies which he can use in teaching learning process. Thus all the points or all the above techniques lead to effective classroom management. It needs a lot of practice, observation and thinking on the part of the teacher to bring out more interactions with the students. More exposure and experience definitely lead to effective classroom management. That is why techniques of classroom management is very important. As a student teacher, you will be a future teachers. You should know what you can do to maintain discipline in the class, to manage your classroom effectively. So if you will implement these points properly, in future you will be definitely a good teacher and you can manage your classroom effectively. Now let's see role of a teacher in effective classroom management. Like a business or manager or a housewife, a teacher too has to manage different situations in a class. She has to provide motivations to students and enrich learning experiences. How a teacher behaves in a class has a great impact on a classroom situations. Today we need resourceful teachers, and the role of a teacher is very important in effective classroom management. That is why role of the teacher plays a very importance in the classroom management. So teacher has to be motivator for students. He has to create comfortable interactions in the class. Teacher should be a facilitator to the students. Teacher has to use activity based teaching methods in the class, and teacher has to use a latest technology in teaching learning process. These aspects or these things, if we use in the classroom, automatically students will pay attention in the class and they will be actively involved in the learning. So let's see how he motivates to the student. A teacher should make use of positive and negative reinforcement techniques in the classroom. Make them cooperate with each other and implement various learning activities for the students. He has to motivate students in the form of the words, in the form of the praise, in the form of rewards, awards, to the students. After giving, for example, after giving answers, he can give a small words of reinforcement like very good, good try, like that. Then yes, he has to create comfortable interactions in the classroom. A teacher has to establish a good rapport with the students. This would lead to the comfortable interactions between all human resources available in the classroom. So comfortability always creates rapport with the students. So this way teacher can make a good rapport with the students. Teacher as facilitator. Teacher's role is that of a guide and facilitator of knowledge. It is based on the ideology of constructivism, where students create their own knowledge and teacher only guides them. Whatever facility students need, he will provide it to them. If a teacher play an important of facilitator, yes, students can be the creator of their knowledge. Then activity-based teaching learning methods can be used in the classroom. A teacher has to adopt activity-based learning teaching. She has to engage students in some other activity like group work, talking, giving assignments, projects. She should use activities to catch and sustain interest of the students for participating in various activities. Then yes, use of latest technology in teaching learning process. A teacher should be able to use the latest trends in teaching learning process. She should be able to use computer, internet, educom while teaching in the classroom. So she has to adopt a new techniques of technology in teaching learning process, which creates interest amongst students' mind to learn new content or new knowledge. So that's teachers play a very important role in improving classroom interactions and climate of classroom. They should use authority and leadership also to keep a classroom proper managed. Management teachers should be effective and provide inspiration and motivation to young children in realizing their potentialities and achieve objectives of education. So here the role of the teacher in classroom management is very important, because teacher is the one person who leads the class, who is the leader of the classroom, who can motivate, who can create a comfortable interactions with students, who can give facilities or can guide students wherever they will have problems in their learning. He should guide to the students. Then yes, he will should also definitely use different teaching learning methods for the teaching learning process. And yes, of course, he should not hesitate the use of technology in teaching learning process. He has to learn many new techniques or technology in teaching learning process. So that is why role of the teacher in effective classroom is very